Okay, let's get this out of the way. Being born a mosquito sucks. You may think you've got it bad when your morning coffee is too cold, or you're stuck in traffic for an hour. But imagine if your entire existence was just one big chase for a meal, only to be swatted, crushed, or swarmed with repellent every time. Now, don't get me wrong. Mosquitoes aren't exactly the cutest creatures in the world, but can you really blame them? Their job is literally to survive by feeding off of others. And let's just say, we're not exactly welcoming hosts. So, why is it such a rough life for a mosquito? Why does every human, and even some animals, look at them like they're the worst thing to have ever existed? I mean, it's not like they wake up every day and think, today I'll annoy a bunch of humans and make their lives miserable. No, they're just out there trying to feed, reproduce, and stay alive. But instead of sympathy, they get swatted at, sprayed with insecticide, and cursed out. It's like being born into the wrong species, and the entire world is constantly trying to get rid of you. But before you think that mosquitoes are just some random annoyance, let's dive deep into their tragic existence, starting with the biology of it all. Believe it or not, mosquitoes are actually part of a much bigger ecosystem. Their whole existence is intertwined with nature's delicate balance. But that doesn't make their life any easier. So grab a seat, because we're about to go on a wild ride, exploring why being born a mosquito is one of the worst things that could happen. Imagine you're born with one goal: eat, breed, and stay alive. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, for a mosquito, it's not that easy. The mosquito's existence revolves around finding food, blood, to be specific. But the kicker? It's not just any blood. They need human or animal blood to survive and reproduce. You see, male mosquitoes can live off nectar, but the females? Well, they need a blood meal to develop their eggs. So, they're constantly hunting for a bite. And what's the best way to find a meal? Well, it turns out mosquitoes are equipped with a highly sensitive radar system. They can detect the carbon dioxide you exhale, the warmth of your body, and even the lactic acid in your sweat. Sounds efficient, right? It's like having a built-in GPS that locks onto your next target. But here's the thing. This radar system doesn't always make them the most welcome dinner guests. In fact, it makes them really good at what they do, but it also makes them incredibly unpopular. Ever wonder why mosquitoes seem to target certain people more than others? It's because they can literally smell you coming from a mile away. And once they've locked onto you, you're their next meal. But don't think they'll be polite about it. Now imagine being a mosquito and having to go out into the world with one simple job: find food without getting caught. The pressure is real, but it's not just about the hunt. It's also about the constant threat of death. Whether it's the giant swatter or the irresistible lure of the bug zapper, every mosquito knows the risk they're taking by flying near humans. And yet they keep doing it. It's almost as if they've resigned themselves to the fact that being born a mosquito means being a target. Let's talk about survival for a mosquito. It's not just humans who are after them. Sure, you might feel like the mosquito is your personal enemy, but in the insect world, mosquitoes are prey to a number of other animals. Frogs, birds, bats. They all feast on mosquitoes, making the life of a mosquito even more perilous. But even with all these natural enemies, it's humans who are the true predators. You'd think that living in the wild would be rough enough for a mosquito, but no, humans have found so many ways to make their lives worse. First, we have insect repellents, those sweet-smelling concoctions that we slather on ourselves, knowing that mosquitoes will stay far away. But it's not just repellent. We've got bug zappers, citronella candles, and the classic swatter. To a mosquito, this is the equivalent of trying to walk through a minefield while also being chased by a bear. It's tough out there, people. And mosquitoes are just trying to keep their tiny bodies from being obliterated at every turn. But it doesn't stop there. Have you ever thought about how mosquitoes are seen as a vector for disease? Sure, they're irritating, but mosquitoes are responsible for spreading some of the deadliest diseases known to humanity. Malaria, dengue fever, and Zika virus are all transmitted by mosquitoes, making them one of the most dangerous animals on Earth. This isn't just about a couple of itchy bites. It's about life or death. So, in many ways, mosquitoes are both villains and victims. They're caught in the middle of a fight they didn't start, but they've been blamed for the aftermath. When you think about it, the mosquito life cycle is like a race. It's short, it's intense, and it's constantly interrupted by various threats. Most mosquitoes live for only a few weeks, but during those few weeks, they are on a mission: find food, reproduce, and avoid dying. But here's the kicker. During those few weeks, a mosquito has to go through several stages of life. First, they start as eggs laid in water. Once they hatch, they become larvae, where they spend their days wriggling around in the water. Then they emerge as pupae and eventually turn into adults, ready to begin the cycle all over again. But not all mosquitoes get the chance to finish their life cycle. The first stage is the egg phase. Mosquitoes lay their eggs in stagnant water, puddles, swamps, or even a cup of water left outside. And from the moment those eggs hatch, the mosquitoes begin their long journey toward adulthood. But the odds are stacked against them. In fact, many mosquito eggs don't even make it to adulthood because predators like fish and frogs are constantly on the lookout for an easy meal. But if they make it past the egg phase, they move into the larvae stage, where they swim around in the water, feeding on organic matter. But guess what? It's not all smooth sailing. They're still at risk of being eaten by aquatic predators. And even when they become adults, mosquitoes are still at risk of getting squashed or attacked by other insects. Now, let's talk about one of the most iconic aspects of being a mosquito: the buzz. You know the sound, right? That high-pitched whine that fills your ears just as you're about to drift off to sleep. It's like the universe is sending you a reminder that, yes, a mosquito has just found you and is about to ruin your night. That buzzing sound is actually made by the rapid movement of their wings. And let's be real, it's not just annoying, it's downright terrifying. You're lying there, eyes closed, and all you can think is, where is it? Where is it? But here's the thing. Mosquitoes don't even realize how obnoxious their buzzing is. They're just flying around, doing their thing, trying to find a meal. But to us, that buzzing is the sound of our doom. It's like the opening notes of a horror movie. There's nowhere to hide, and you know what's coming. But imagine being that mosquito. You're just trying to survive, and your buzzing is like the loudest announcement of your presence. It's like being in a crowded room, trying to sneak past everyone, but your shoes keep squeaking with every step. It's awkward and painful, but what can you do? So, after all of this, you might be asking yourself, what's the moral of this story? Should we feel bad for mosquitoes? Well, maybe not exactly. After all, they're still out there biting us, spreading diseases, and buzzing in our ears at the worst possible times. But maybe, just maybe, the next time a mosquito flies near you, you'll pause for a second. Because it's not just annoying, it's survival. It's a life on the edge, with danger at every turn and no guarantee of success. In a way, being a mosquito is like being a professional underdog. They're not getting any love, and yet, they're still out there doing their thing, trying to make it another day. It's a tough life, and honestly, it makes you think twice about your own problems. Next time you're stuck in traffic, at least you're not a mosquito, having to dodge swats, sprays, and be the most hated creature on the planet. So here's a question for you to ponder. If you had to be born as one insect, would you pick a mosquito, or is there another creature you'd rather be? Let me know what you think in the comments below.